Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you all so much for being here. Today's video is going to be all on the 3 types of love purely from the Tantric perspective. So I did a whole video all on what Tantra is. If you haven't already seen that, I'd recommend checking that out before you watch this video. But that video is going to set up the important framework for understanding what Tantra really is before you really begin to look at the forms of love within Tantra. So go ahead and check that out. But in this video, again, I wanted to really go over the forms of love. I think it's really important to understand the true essence of what love is, again, from the Tantric perspective, and how, working with the essence really of divine love, which is the purest, truest form of love, is what's going to be most important on your spiritual journey. It's going to be what's most important for, how you relate to others and how you relate, of course, to yourself. So I just kind of wanted to break this down so you guys can really understand the importance of it. So when you really think about it, life is based so much off of our relationships to one another and even to ourselves. So it's so foundational to really understand why, these 3 forms of love are important. So just to set the stage a little here, in Tantra and in the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta, the journey really always begins within. It's important to understand the true self first, the capital S self, which is what's spoken about so often in so many of these Tantric scriptures, in the Vedas, in the Bhagavad Gita. And really understanding, again, the nature of the true self will help us understand how to relate with others and to understand the importance of these different kinds of relationships. Again, not just with other people, but with ourselves as well. Because really these 3 forms of divine love are ways that we relate to ourselves too. And when I break it down, it might make a little more sense. Because really, if we aren't satisfied within, if we aren't satisfied with ourselves and our true nature, how can we really be satisfied and happy and content with our relationships with others? Our relationships, not just in romantic relationships, but in friendships and with our peers and colleagues and all that. How can we really be satisfied and feel complete and whole in those kind of relationships? So it's important to, of course, always start within, always work on that inner self first before you really, start to point fingers at other individuals. And one thing that I always like to say, and a principle that's helped me so much, is that, when you really think about it, because the self is all that exists, you realize that you can never attempt to fill that void within you through another. Because really the Atman is the Brahman, right? So when you attempt to fill that void inside with another person or something external, it really will only lead to disappointment. That's why, again, I keep harping on how important it is to realize that true divinity, that capital S self, before we begin relating to others and understanding these different kinds of relationships. So the first kind of love is going to be animalistic love. And really, this is going to be the lowest form of love. It's going to be based purely off of physical attraction, desire, wanting. It's going to be fueled a lot by the ego. It's very possessive, jealous, and controlling. So an example would be, I only want you because you give me something, you provide value for me, things like that. So again, this is the lowest form of love. It's heavily rooted in egoic desires and the kind of egoic nature. It can be thrilling, but really it's quite unsustainable. And it begins to kind of diminish once we realize that that person no longer fulfills our needs and our desires, which is, again, why it's also a very conditional form of love. And it's really not true love. So a step above this is going to be human love. And within human love, we are going to find equality, mutual connection, sharing, and emotional connection. This type of love is often unconditional, nurturing, and very respectful. It allows space for individuality and really is what most people aspire to. It doesn't seek to possess, and instead it seeks to honor. There's a lot of communication and trust behind this form of love. There's also a lot of freedom in this kind of love. And the last form of love is the kind of love that we really should all be striving towards, because it's really the essence of divine true love, right? Of the kind of love that we all emanate from, and the kind of love that is just the nature of everything that truly exists. But so many of us have a hard time really tapping into that and understanding that, because we are so often rooted in these lower forms of love, especially animalistic love. So the final form of love is going to be divine love. This is the highest form of love, and really the kind of love that Tantra really urges us to. It's free from ego, and it's free from time and space. It transcends physical form, and really it's bhakti, it's oneness, it's ultimate pure divine love that so many of these dharmic scriptures really write about and speak about, right? It's the essence of yogic philosophy, of tantric philosophy. And so it's just really important to understand this form of love, because understanding it alone can help us move towards it. It can help us really work towards creating this kind of universal love, just to remind humanity really that this is where we really all emanate from. We are all one, right? This is the nature, as I mentioned, of dharmic philosophy, is this concept of oneness. This is the kind of love that we really all yearn for deep in our hearts. And once we realize that this kind of material world no longer satisfies us, is again what we all truly yearn for. It can be experienced with another, but it always arises from within. And that's the really important aspect of this form of love. It's really important to understand that. Of course, you can experience divine union and divine love with a partner, a special kind of partner, but it will always exist within you, because you are whole and complete as you are. Again, Atman is Brahman. Of course, being in the now and being in the present moment and really anchoring yourself into, again, the here and now can really help you better tap into this form of pure divine love, because when you are really anchored into the here and now, it really helps you understand that you are, again, all that exists. It really helps you feel into and tune into that universal oneness. I've experienced that myself, so I highly encourage you all to really sit with that. You can even sit with, if you do have a partner or a best friend or even just a family member, someone you really truly deeply love and care about, just sitting with them and being present with them and really not saying very much, preferably not saying anything at all. And just that presence alone really helps you feel into that divine love. Understanding your attachment style can also help you understand kind of where you fall into this spectrum and why maybe you are more inclined to a certain form of love. So I encourage you all to look into that if you are interested, because we all have, our unique kind of form of attachment style in psychology. And so really understanding kind of where you fit within that will help you kind of better understand how to move towards divine love. So I hope this video was somewhat insightful. I do have a blog post if you are interested, so go ahead and check that out. It does go into a little more detail. Otherwise, thank you all for listening. If you have any suggestions for me on what you'd like to see in my future videos, please let me know. And otherwise, I hope you all have a beautiful day, and we will talk soon. Bye.